In this Solid Solutions video, I'm going to show you how to add exploded views and bills of material to your SolidWorks assembly from inside the online trial. To access the files used in this example from the online trial, select the Open icon from the SolidWorks toolbar, then navigate to the C drive, Users, Photon User, Documents, SolidWorks Product Trial, Sample Content, Mouse Assembly, and double-click the assembly file. When we first open the mouse assembly, we can see that the buttons have been made transparent, allowing us to see internally. This transparency can be quickly toggled on or off by using this arrow in the Feature Manager, which gives us information on each part's visibility, display style, appearance, and transparency. And we can select the icon beside the mouse buttons to make it opaque. Another way of examining the internals of an assembly, which also helps show how the assembly should be fitted together, is by creating an exploded view. To do this, we temporarily move components in the order that they would be assembled or disassembled and save their positioning in an easily accessible view, which we can also animate or bring into a drawing. To create an exploded view, select the icon from the Assembly tab of the Command Manager. This will bring up the Explode Property Manager, where steps can then be created to move components. To do this, select the first component to move. In this case, we'll select the buttons. Our three default axes will appear, and we can use the arrows to translate the buttons. I'm going to translate up in the Y direction by dragging and dropping the arrow. When we do this, the information will fill into the Explode Property Manager, and we can fine-tune the distance or degree of rotation if required, and then press Done to complete the step. Multiple components can also be exploded at the same time. On the underside of the mouse, there are 4 contact pads. I'm going to select each one of these and then use the arrow to move them down in the negative Y direction. And again, select Done from the Property Manager. Next, the battery cover on the underside of the mouse can be selected, and as it is inserted from the side, I'm going to explode it in the negative Z direction. Previously, we had completed the explode steps by selecting Done in the Property Manager, but there are quicker alternatives. When a part is dropped into position, a mouse icon beside the cursor appears with a blue arrow over the right mouse button. This means that if I right-click now, the explode step will be completed. This can help save on mouse movement. Some parts are not best suited to using the default X, Y, and Z axes as a direction for their explode. If this is the case, we can drag the manipulator onto different faces or edges and use those for a reference direction. Selecting the mouse wheel, I can see that the default axes are shown as normal, but there is a white ball in the center where they meet. If I click and drag this to an edge or face, the explode direction will be along that edge or normal to that face. I've dropped the manipulator onto the edge of the wheel housing, dragged the arrow, and completed the step. The final 2 components which need to be exploded are the bottom housing and on-off switch on the underside of the mouse. Previously, we have exploded multiple components by the same distance in one step. However, we can also explode them in the same direction but by different amounts. To do this, select the option Auto Space Components from the Explode Property Manager. With this selected, we can drag the Y-axis arrow to see the components moving but at different rates. When we drop, each component's explode distance can be fine-tuned using the individual arrows. Once this step is completed, all of the necessary parts have been exploded. However, if any changes need to be made, this can be done from the Explode Steps box on the Property Manager. In here, selecting any step gives a full list of options which can be modified. The order of the explode steps can also be changed. For example, if I preferred the mouse wheel to move second, I can click and drag Explode Step 4 to below Explode Step 1. When happy with any modifications, use the green tick to accept the explode. The exploded view is stored in the Configuration Manager under the default configuration. From here, we can right-click and collapse or explode the assembly. We can also animate the collapse or explode to create a useful video showing how the part is to be assembled or disassembled. These videos can be saved as various extensions including MP4 and AVI. With our explode complete, we may wish to show it in a 2D drawing. This can easily be done by selecting the arrow beside the new icon, then make drawing from part assembly using the A3 sheet when prompted. The view palette will automatically appear to the right of the screen with all default views of the assembly previewed. To add views to the drawing, drag and drop from the view palette to the sheet. We've added an isometric view to this drawing, which by default uses the drawing sheet scale. We can modify this scale to 1 from the status bar on the bottom right of the screen. Because there has already been an exploded view created, the checkbox Show an Exploded or Model Break State is available in our View Property Manager, and we can check this to change the view. Next, we can add a bill of materials from the Annotations tab under the Tables drop-down. We're asked to select the drawn view to use, which will be the exploded view, before using the green tick on the Property Manager to accept the BOM options, then clicking on the sheet to place. The BOM can then be modified. For example, column title part number may be clearer if entitled name, so we can double click and change. We may also want to show the quantity of the parts before the description, and this can be done by dragging the columns across. The descriptions themselves currently only have a default value. To change this to something more meaningful, right click on a part in the BOM and choose to open. Once a part is open, we can select the File Properties icon from the toolbar, then the Custom tab, and change the value for the description property. When we OK the change and use the Windows drop-down to navigate back to the drawing, we can see that the value has updated. The BOM columns can then be resized if necessary. The final step is to add balloons to indicate which item number in the BOM is related to each component in the assembly. This could be done by selecting the balloon tool and manually adding each component, but auto balloon can also be used to quickly add a balloon for each component at the same time. When auto balloon is selected, a preview of the balloons to be added can be seen. There are various options in the Property Manager, one of which is to change the layout of the balloons. Another useful option is the ability to order the balloons sequentially. This will renumber the balloons and reorder the BOM, meaning the numbers are ordered in a clockwise direction. We can then accept the command. Magnetic lines are also created, which enable us to drag and move multiple balloons at once. This enables us to quickly finalize the layout of our drawing. Thank you for watching this quick introduction to exploded views and BOMs using the SolidWorks online trial.